Welcome to Don's Manufactory. Well, we're jumping right in on a time lapse here. I am removing the driver's side toe board. As soon as I made the cuts on the toe board, I got into trouble. Well, I realized it was quite daunting, so I switched right over to welding up the divots on the side panels and firewall in order to get prepped for installing the lower cowl. Well, so it was a pretty easy process here. I have a hunk of aluminum there, and I'm using that as a heat sink so I can run a fairly hot weld, and I don't have to worry about it blowing through. And I just moved along and welded up all the little drill divots taken out of those panels when I drilled out all those spot welds. So the whole time I am doing this process here, I guess I'm just using it as busy work, I am thinking about the problem I had just revealed. Something about the structure of the car was bothering me. One of the things was that every welded seam seemed more flexible than I anticipated. Okay, on with the regular video. Good morning. Update for today. I got some of my sheet metal, so I got the lower cowl. However, it doesn't fit right. First problem, I ended up cutting it right here because it wouldn't fit down between the sides, so I'll have to weld that up. Second problem, I don't know if you can see it with this lens. Okay, excuse me while I answer the phone. Back to it. This is a wide angle lens, so things look bent anyway. But basically, the windshield opening over here is 20 5/8. In the middle, it's 20 11/16. And on the driver's side, it's 20 13/16. And it's kind of obvious. You can see how much the dash was installed low on this side. You can see the step there, and over here a lot less step right there. So looking across, it looks like the cowl is going up. It kind of, I can get it down in the corner over there, but it's basically fat right in there. I did some comparing with the old panel. This angle here is 1 degree less. This angle here is 1 degree less. And this angle here is 1 degree less. So I'm thinking what I have to do is work this area right here and stand this up this way, run this crease all the way over to there, and then take some of this angle out here and get this whole part of the panel to sit down this way so it lines up right. If I pull this one out and put that one in, I can just drop it right in and line it up and it fits. Believe me, I was thinking about maybe I should just cannibalize this to repair that one. And in my mind, I'm still going that way without cutting it. I'm going to try to work it, and maybe I can drop this hat down and get this part here to be right. And that being said, I took time to square up the car using my laser level. It's within 1/8 of an inch all the way around, except for the front end, which I did have blocked up here. I had a block in here. Right now, this stand is not doing anything, and I have the weight on the cross member with the floor jack because taking the weight off the motor or dropping the weight on the motor, it moves the firewall, oh man, 3/8 of an inch or more. It causes this panel to roll this way, which then makes this side really high. I can't jack it up to lower this. I got to leave this firewall straight, which is where it is right now. It's a straight line across there. So that means I've still got weight on these stands here, although not as much because I'm picking up the weight off of the motor and the front end. I can't support the frame out here at the end because the floorboards are really rusty and it causes the frame rail to droop in the middle. So I have to lift the weight of the motor and then find an average in there that gives me a straight cowl. And I've assembled it with the old pieces and put the connectors on and the spot welds both on the apron and the cowl line up. So I know I've got this in the right position as for where it used to be. But these points here measure high. They were within 1/8 of an inch now before, but they're not now. They're high. So what this has done is made me think about, Barry says all the time, sequence. Because things, especially this floor and this frame here, it's so rusty that, you know, jacking it up, this whole thing just moves around like crazy. When I made the vertical cut, everything was fine, but when I made the horizontal cut across the bottom of the firewall there, then the gaps closed up over here and this thing moved, and I saw the whole thing move when I cut it. And then my cutter started binding up because the gaps were being pinched. So I've decided, and I'm going to square this whole thing up, and I'm going to get torque boxes in it first. So once I have the torque boxes in, I'll get the toe boards in. Morning, Wednesday, June 9th. And I am perseverating over keeping the car in tram. I've been working on this lower cowl, how the frame is set up down here. Currently, I have a floor jack underneath the cross member supporting the weight of the motor, and I have this bottle jack setting the end position of the frame because I realize how much movement there is here. Depending on where I have the weight, this cowl is moving back and forth this way a tremendous amount. And before I weld this lower cowl in, I have to have this frame perfectly straight and the weight supported exactly right. I can't use just the bottle jack because the weight of the motor pulls this driver's side frame rail just straight down. Because it's so rusty, there's nothing supporting it anymore. I have to get the weight and everything just right in order to get the frame straight. Once I have the angle, I'm even thinking I may have to pull off this, get these clamps off here anyway, in order to drape a fender on here and then see how much the gap changes here to the door. The doors are still in their original position. So I'm thinking I got to get the fenders out and just hang them on the car and check the gaps, because this front end moves up and down so much. I'm talking this far, depending on how much weight I have in the front end here. I mean, I almost wish I didn't have the motor in here. It would make things easier to hold in tram. But I can do this by just adjusting how I'm moving the weight. And then use my laser level to check the points along the way. It's kind of scary. This thing moves so much, and the right side, or the driver's side, moves so much more than the passenger side. Because the floor on the passenger side is still fairly solid. The driver's side, it's just Swiss cheese. And the whole frame rail is free to move any way it wants to. Kind of a scary thought thinking I was driving the car like that. Anyway, so I've ordered torque boxes and I'm going to put those in, but holy cow, the front end of this car has to be in exactly the right place before I start welding anything in. So that's what I'm freaking out about, is how am I going to ensure that? I'm going to set up the camera so that you can see across the firewall and the cowl here. And I'll take my clamps off and leave my little locator pins in, and then you can watch it move. Okay, here it goes. Seeing this much movement in the panels and in the welded seams, I have got to come up with a way to stiffen this chassis. I cannot believe how much movement I'm seeing here. I'm just blown away. I want to see this from a different angle. Admittedly, the left and right movement of this frame rail that I'm seeing, because I'm picking it up by the cross member, it could be that flattening out and then contracting. It's critical. There's so much movement up and down here. You know, where the nose is drooping like this. But also, this driver's side frame rail is moving up and down as well. So it droops, but it also drops like this and then goes up like that, because there's nothing holding that frame rail steady inside the car. So I have to get the angle of this frame rail exactly right by the two measurements they give. I have to get that right, and I have to get it even with the other side, but I also have to make it come out right under the floor there. Once I weld this cowl in, that will set the firewall, that will set the angle and the position of the frame rail. And it's freaking me out. I'm changing the way I'm thinking. Get the torque boxes in, get the toe boards in, so that the whole front of the car is then rigid. After that, I can do the floor pan. But until I do this front part, there's no way I can do anything else. I don't even want to cut the toe board out on the passenger side. I hope that explains it good enough in this view. I've got torque boxes that I am either going to have to tear apart and fit, or maybe they'll just fit. I don't know yet, but I'm going to put torque boxes in the car and try to square all this stuff up with using my jacks here. Because of the problems with the geometry and the frame and everything, I'm still fighting what belongs where, and welding that cowl in makes it permanent, whatever I do. And anyway, I'm still working on it, hoping to make it work. So that's where I'm at today. I'm just slugging away. I can Another thing I was going to do was fix the heater core and stuff like that. I got the heater out, and I got the heater. The core came yesterday, so I can put that in and just get that serviced up and ready to install back in the car. So there's a whole bunch of stuff I can do and have a whole bunch of little victories while I'm mulling over how I'm going to do this thing with the frame and the cowl and all that. Okay, that's today's update.